Could three names from completely different corners of the fashion universe create the most talked about cultural moment of the decade? Imagine the scene: the doors of a grand fashion venue open, camera flashes erupt, and inside the room sits Anna Wintour, the woman whose approval can shape the direction of global style. Across from her is Jimin of BTS, an artist whose elegance, emotional power, and worldwide influence have transformed every appearance into an event. Beside them stands Jeremy Scott, the designer known for turning fashion into spectacle, humor, rebellion, and unforgettable visual fantasy. If these three forces ever came together, the fashion world would not simply witness a collaboration. It could witness a cultural explosion. This is not a confirmed project, and no official announcement has suggested that Anna Wintour, Jimin, and Jeremy Scott are preparing to unite. But in an era when fashion is no longer limited to runways, magazines, or luxury storefronts, the idea itself feels powerful enough to ignite global conversation. Their imagined partnership represents something larger than clothing. It represents authority, emotion, creativity, fandom, luxury, youth culture, and the unstoppable collision between East and West. Anna Wintour has long represented the gatekeeping power of fashion. For decades, her name has been linked to influence, precision, taste, and the ability to recognize a cultural shift before the rest of the world fully understands it. She does not simply observe fashion trends. She has helped define which trends become important. Her presence at a show can transform a collection into a headline. Her support can introduce new designers to a global audience. Her image, her signature sunglasses, and her unmistakable calm have made her one of the most recognizable figures in fashion history. Jimin, meanwhile, represents a different kind of influence. He is not only a performer. He is a global cultural figure whose style choices are studied by fans, fashion editors, luxury brands, and social media audiences around the world. Whether he appears in a refined suit, a soft knit look, a dramatic stage costume, or an understated airport outfit, every detail becomes part of a larger conversation. His fashion power comes from the fact that he does not wear clothes as simple decoration. He turns them into emotion. His presence can make a minimalist outfit feel poetic, a classic silhouette feel modern, and a luxury campaign feel intimate. Jeremy Scott brings a third energy into this imagined trio. He has built a reputation on refusing to make fashion quiet. His work is loud, colorful, playful, provocative, and often impossible to ignore. He understands that fashion can be serious without becoming boring. It can challenge the industry while still making people smile. It can use pop culture, cartoons, irony, glamour, and rebellion to create images that live far beyond the runway. Jeremy Scott has always understood the power of fashion as visual storytelling, and that makes him the perfect creative disruptor in this hypothetical meeting of minds. If Anna Wintour represents fashion's authority, Jimin represents fashion's emotional global reach, and Jeremy Scott represents fashion's wild imagination, then their union could create a new blueprint for cultural influence. It would not be about placing a celebrity in a designer outfit for one red carpet moment. It would be about creating a complete fashion narrative. The project could become a conversation between heritage and innovation, between editorial elegance and pop art rebellion, between luxury tradition and the fast-moving energy of global fandom. The first shock would come from the audience. Fashion insiders would immediately ask what kind of event could contain three such different forces. Would it be a runway show? A Vogue cover? A museum exhibition? A charity gala? A campaign that blends music, film, performance, and couture? Or could it become something even more unexpected, a fashion experience designed for both the elite front row and millions of fans watching from every corner of the world? That is where the power of Jimin becomes especially important. In traditional fashion, exclusivity has always been part of the appeal. The front row is limited. The invitation list is controlled. The biggest moments are often seen first by editors, celebrities, buyers, and industry executives. But Jimin exists in a world where a single image can travel across continents in seconds. His audience does not wait for fashion to decide when it is important. His audience makes it important. A single post, a short video, or a photograph from an event could become a worldwide trend before the show has even ended. This imagined collaboration could force fashion to reconsider what influence looks like in 2026. It could prove that luxury does not lose its mystery when it becomes global. Instead, it can gain new meaning when millions of people are invited to participate emotionally. Anna Wintour's editorial vision could ensure that the project remains sophisticated, carefully curated, and culturally meaningful. Jeremy Scott's creativity could make it visually unforgettable. Jimin's presence could give it a human heart, turning a fashion campaign into a moment that feels personal to fans. Picture a collection inspired by transformation. The first look could be elegant and controlled, tailored black jackets, sharp lines, classic gloves, polished shoes, and the kind of restrained glamour that reflects Anna Wintour's world of editorial discipline. Then, as the show progresses, Jeremy Scott's imagination could begin to take over. The silhouettes could become larger, brighter, stranger, and more playful. Classic couture shapes could be interrupted by unexpected prints, surreal accessories, exaggerated details, and references to pop culture. At the center of it all could be Jimin, not simply as a model or ambassador, but as a creative muse. His artistic identity has always balanced softness and strength. He can appear delicate without seeming weak, elegant without becoming distant, and dramatic without losing emotional sincerity. That duality could become the central language of the collection. The clothing could explore the idea that masculinity does not need to be rigid. It can be graceful, expressive, romantic, theatrical, and free. For years, Jimin has been admired for challenging narrow expectations of male fashion. His style often moves between classic tailoring and fluid silhouettes, between refined luxury and youthful softness. He has shown that fashion can be powerful without being aggressive. In a collaboration with Jeremy Scott, that quality could become even more daring. Imagine oversized coats decorated with hand-painted symbols, silk shirts paired with bold jewelry, dramatic boots under flowing trousers, or structured jackets softened by delicate embroidery. The result could be a collection that speaks to people who have always felt that fashion should allow them to become more than one thing. Anna Wintour's role in this fantasy would be crucial because she understands how to turn an idea into a cultural statement. She could frame the project not as a celebrity collaboration, but as a serious examination of global fashion's future. The narrative could focus on how the industry is changing through Asian cultural influence, digital communities, music fandoms, and younger generations who no longer see fashion as something controlled only by European runways. The project could arrive with a powerful editorial campaign. Instead of traditional glossy photographs alone, it could include short films, handwritten notes, behind-the-scenes footage, and conversations about creativity. Jimin could speak about the emotional relationship between music and clothing. Jeremy Scott could discuss why fashion needs joy and risk. Anna Wintour could reflect on how the fashion industry must evolve to remain connected to the world outside its old institutions. The visual campaign could be breathtaking. One image might show Jimin standing in a quiet room filled with old-fashioned magazines, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit that slowly dissolves into a world of bright colors and surreal objects. Another could place him in a theatrical cityscape, where giant flowers, toy-like buildings, and exaggerated shadows create a dreamlike universe. A third image could be almost completely minimal, Jimin in a black and white portrait, wearing a simple jacket, with only his expression carrying the story. This contrast would be the key. Anna Wintour's influence could bring control. Jeremy Scott's influence could bring chaos. Jimin's influence could bring feeling. Together, they could create something that feels polished but unpredictable, luxurious but youthful, artistic but accessible. The biggest question would be whether the fashion world is ready for such a moment. Some traditional voices might resist it. They might argue that fashion should remain exclusive, that celebrity influence has become too powerful, or that global fandom changes the way designers are discussed. But that resistance would only make the project more important. Fashion has always evolved through tension. Every major shift has created discomfort before it created acceptance. The rise of streetwear once challenged luxury fashion. The arrival of digital influencers changed the power of magazines. Kpop transformed the way global brands approached Asian markets and international audiences. Social media turned every airport arrival, concert costume, and campaign photograph into a possible fashion headline. A collaboration between Anna Wintour, Jimin, and Jeremy Scott would not create this change. It would simply make the change impossible to ignore. The imagined event could become more than a runway. It could become a statement about who gets to shape fashion now. Is it only the editor? Is it only the designer? Is it only the luxury house? Or is it also the artist, the fan, the online community, the young person watching from a bedroom thousands of miles away, and the audience that sees clothing not as a symbol of status but as a language of identity? Jimin's involvement would make that question deeply emotional. His fans have seen him grow as an artist, performer, and individual. They understand the significance of his style because they have watched it evolve with his music and public image. A fashion project centered around him would not feel like a random endorsement. It could feel like another chapter in a story that millions of people have followed with affection and pride. Jeremy Scott would understand how to translate that emotional connection into visual language. His designs have always embraced the idea that fashion can be personal, funny, nostalgic, and rebellious at the same time. He could take the intensity of global fandom and transform it into shapes, colors, textures, and symbols. Instead of treating fans as consumers, the project could treat them as part of the creative universe. Anna Wintour could then give the entire concept a platform powerful enough to reach beyond fandom. She could position the project within the wider conversation about fashion's future, cultural exchange, representation, and creativity. The result could be a moment that fashion critics discuss seriously while fans celebrate passionately. And perhaps that is what would make this trio so influential. They would each bring a different kind of power, but none of them would cancel the others out. Anna Wintour would bring the weight of fashion history. Jimin would bring the emotional force of global culture. Jeremy Scott would bring the fearless energy of imagination. If they ever stood together in the same creative room, the question would not be whether people would notice. The question would be whether the fashion world would be ready for what came next. Because when authority, artistry, and imagination collide, fashion does not simply change its clothes. It changes its future.